Hey there, hi there. Hey, everybody. Hello, 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 hello. Hi. Hello, John Duvall. Haven't talked to you in a long time, dude. Glad you're here. Christopher Hall. I swear. Hey there, hi there. Oops, hang on.
Everybody.
I'm getting feedback.
Hello, 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 hello.
Where's
Hi.
that?
Hello, John Duvall.
Where's that
Haven't
feeding
talked to you
from?
in a long time, dude.
Hang on,
Glad you're
guys.
here. Christopher Hall. I swear. Hey there, hi there.
Oops, hang on.
Everybody.
I'm getting feedback. Where is that coming from?
Hello, John Duvall.
Where's that
Haven't talked to
feeding
you
from?
in a long time, dude.
Hang on,
Glad you're
guys.
here. Christopher Hall. I swear. Hey there, hi there.
Oops, hang on.
Everybody.
Getting. Where is that coming from?
Hello, John Duvall.
Where's that feeding
For a long time, dude.
Hang on, guys.
Here, Christopher Hall. I swear. Hey there, hi there. Oops, hang on.
Where is that coming from? That's crazy. I'm going crazy, y'all. Hang on, I'll try not to go crazy. Where is that? Ser- That's crazy. I'm going crazy, y'all. Hang on, I'll try not to go crazy. Where is that? It's not here because this is muted. Ser- That's crazy. I'm going crazy, y'all. There we go. All right, I found it. Mr. Justin Nava is here in the house, folks.
What's going on, everyone? Hope you can see and hear me.
Let's see. There we go. Now we're on a dualish screen. Dualificating.
All right.
We're dualified. Jacek is here.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Hey, Ramon is here. Okay, listen, here's the deal. Here's the deal about Ramon. So we had our mastermind last night, and Ramon comes in muted and the mic turned off. Like Ramon wants to lurk. He's the guy that sneaks into the back of the room and just sort of stands there with his arms folded and kind of leaning on the wall. And so everybody's like, "Hey, Ramon, how you doing? What's going on, Ramon? How you doing?" And all you hear is crickets chirping. And I'm like, dude, I think he's just like turned it on and has left the room. Just wants to make us feel like he's a part of the thing, you know. And so he's not there. And so finally, right at the end, as we're saying goodnight, then Ramon's like, "Hey guys, how y'all doing? Good night." You know, and I said in the chat, I said, what's funny is that when we have our masterminds, Ramon sits back and he said, I'm sitting back and I'm taking notes and just listening. And if I have something to contribute, I will. And I appreciate that. He's being very respectful of everybody else. But I was like, man, he gets on the chat, like on the live show, and he's just talking to everybody, saying all sorts of stuff like that. I mean, we're going for like a minute. And here's Ramon. Just, "Hey guys, what's going on? Too much echo and all this sort of stuff." The man has fingers that just go crazy with the typing and stuff, but try to pull a "hey man, how you doing" out of him is like pulling teeth. I kid.
I don't care. I like it.
I kid because I love Ramon. He's one of our early adopters. Good man. All right, guys. We're going to get started here in just a second. Hello, Aunt Dawn. So I'm watching on my Fire Stick. Wait. I know you were, Ramon. Justin's volume is too low? Say something, son.
As usual, my
There you
volume
go.
is too low.
There you go. I'm pulling you up.
It never puts me at the right volume. So while I test my volume, let me pull out my little handy dandy swipe file of Jerry Seinfeld quotes. It's amazing the amount of news that happens in the world every day always just exactly fits the size of the newspaper. You ever notice that?
That's I was watching on Netflix. He has a special on there called Jerry Before Seinfeld, and he basically
that's a great. I watched that one twice. I
yes.
watched it once, and then I watched it again with my dad.
Yeah, I did too. I did the exact same thing. Except my mom was in there too. My mom's a huge Seinfeld fan. But it was awesome because he went through all that, those first few years of old material that got him rolling and stuff. And God, that was one of them. I love that.
Yep.
That's like the guy who says, I'm walking around the mall and I don't know where the store is. I can't figure out where I'm going and stuff. So I go over to the map thing and I go to it and the little arrow says you are here. Well, I don't know where I am. How did they know I was going to be at this one? How did they know I was going to come to this one and not the one down over there by Dillard's? See, I like that.
Yeah. And okay, so hopefully my audio is good. Tell me, guys. I've been typing away, so I'm not really keeping up with the comments. Yeah, my volume is low. Tommy, is it better? Ramon is having a spasm or something. He says lol lol lol. He says laughing out loud, out loud, out loud. There's an echo with Ramon, I tell you that much. Laughing out loud, out loud, out loud.
Out loud, out loud,
That's
out
what I
loud,
see.
out loud.
LOL.
Hey, did you share the thing in the Church Media Hacks group?
Not yet. I just got the pinned comments and the welcome comments, so let me throw it in
Okay.
the.
If you would, then I can share it out from there. Or actually, not from there. You also need to. I need to get it over on the page, but I don't want to leave the Facebook Live page. Let me see. Can I just?
What do you mean? It's on the page. You talking about the church CTA page?
Yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to have to like jump over. Hang on, I can do it from over here. Y'all can't see I've left. Hello to everybody over on the YouTubes.
Yeah, are you doing something with the positioning there? Because now there's 3 of you on screen.
Yes, I know. Sorry.
Okay.
Here. There.
Today, if you notice, my hair barely fits.
Your hair
on the
does?
screen. It barely fits on the screen. I was supposed to get a haircut like 2 weeks ago, and just the last Saturdays have been insane.
Hey, so how's
A haircut?
your sweet wife doing? You haven't been able to hang out with her in a while.
Yeah, we hung out plenty. Now she's ready to go back out of town.
She's had it. She's like, I can only take so much.
Good in small doses. No, it was great. She came over. We hang out, and then we went to a friend's house for a dinner party. So we had he smoked some chicken, and was like, "Hey, you guys want to come over for some chicken?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." So we went over and had dinner with them, and then had a board game night. And then by the time I looked down at my phone, I was like, "Holy cow, it's 9 o'clock. We gotta go." Then of course you're in the middle of the game, so then you don't leave until 10 o'clock.
Right.
So yeah, it was a late night, but it was a fun night. And Bridget actually went back to Harlingen today because she came back because she had to do something in town this morning, and then she's got to go back to Harlingen. It's about an hour drive, and then she's coming back tonight, and then she'll be here for the weekend. Finally,
Awesome.
she started this shift, and then she was out of town for a weekend. Then she started her shift in a city an hour away. She's staying with family. And then I went out of town when she came back to here, and then she went back before I could get back in town.
Right.
So literally celebrated her birthday and my daughter's birthday, but we were never like in the same house. We just kind of met at the parties.
Wow. Well, only for a season though. She's in the home stretch on her nursing degree, right?
Physician assistant.
I'm sorry, physician assistant.
Yes, she
Excuse me.
graduates in December. She's got a couple more rotations left.
Okay.
Of clinicals.
Okay.
And,
Don't tell her I said nursing. Good heavens, she's gonna kick
I
me.
won't.
Yeah,
She's
I'm gonna
used to it.
meet her for the first time in real life, and she's gonna be, you idiot.
Oh yeah. Speaking of which, that might be August.
Really?
We're in August. Yeah.
Awesome.
I'll give you the specific dates when we're not live to a billion people that could be robbers.
Yeah. All these people. All of a sudden, Ramon's standing in the driveway.
But
Dude,
he wouldn't say anything.
no, he wouldn't. He'd be typing. My text would be blowing up. Ba-ding, ba-ding, ba-ding. Oh, let's see. Yeah, so far the only one who knows where I live, I think, is Chris. My Aunt Dawn doesn't even know where I live. She hasn't been here. Okay, I forgot to load up the video for our thing, so give me 2 seconds, guys. You can do another Seinfeld quote if you need.
Okay, yeah. So let me grab some more Seinfeld quotes. So remember, guys, I always talk about swipe file, and a lot of times, Dave's like, "Hey, Justin, fill some time or test your mic," and I'm like, "What do I say?" I used to always just say the ABCs. Well, I actually was like, you know what? I'm gonna swipe something and find some inspiration from other people. So I found a page of Jerry Seinfeld quotes, and I'm just gonna rattle these off. Like, for instance, sometimes the road less traveled is less traveled for a reason. Maybe doesn't gel too well with the Bible about the whole less traveled world. But anyways, listen, guys, look, a 2-year-old is kind of like having a blender, but you don't have a top for it.
That I love.
That one is a good one. So yeah, so if you have a 2-year-old, you know what that means. Sometimes my wife is a 2-year-old. I tell you what, this place was spotless, and she came back last night, and already today I have nowhere to eat breakfast because there's just stuff all over the table.
Yes, yes. I know that feeling all too well. The cat and the girls were out in West Texas all last week, so I was here by myself, and it was great because I didn't turn the TV on, and I had I would sit here and work till 11 or whatever, and not have to worry about getting up and doing anything. It was wonderful. I had the house clean. I had the robot going around doing the vacuuming every day and stuff. I mean, it was wonderful. Those three people came in, and by dinner time, there was laundry everywhere. I was standing there with my, with a tear in my pants, and my shirt wasn't on right, and I'm sitting there holding a pork chop, and I don't know what's going on. And it was, I mean, like an hour and a half after they got here. It was horrible. And now I don't even know where stuff is. I've been wearing the same shirt for 4 days.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That explains it.
Yeah.
That explains the smell. I can smell you through the live stream.
Yes. Welcome.
Dave, are we ready to start?
We are. By the way, Jacek is in the chat room, so he's the fellow that we actually interview in this episode, guys. So if y'all have an opportunity to say hi to him, please do. I recommend everybody send him a friend request and stuff. Jacek is an awesome dude, and he is a pastor, believe it or not, and we're going to talk for a few minutes about his story and how the internet is responsible for bringing him to Christ, which is really cool. By the way, if you guys are just joining us, this is the live recording of our podcast, of our show, the Church Media Guys Show. I'm Dave. That's Justin sitting right there. And we are going to get started here in just a sec. You guys are our live studio audience, and we are thrilled that y'all are here, both over on our YouTube channel. Say hi to everybody in there, and on Facebook Live as well. We're going to be starting and stopping in a couple of different sections. Jacek's going to be able to be with us for about another 10 minutes or so, and then he's got to go. So if y'all have any questions for him, be sure to do that. Are you good with the pro tip, Justin?
Yes.
Perfect, yeah. Amundo.
And then afterwards, we'll run the live streaming gear guide.
Yes.
That'll be a good segue into that one.
Yes. Okay.
I didn't do a rundown. Sorry.
That's fine. That's fine. We'll just fly by the seat of our pants. Both of us have been heavy in production all week, so we're a little disheveled, but don't worry, you guys are still going to get the full Monty, the good kind. Let me let me test the video here real quick. Hey guys, today we have do what?
I was gonna say, if there's anyone that can just throw something out there and not realize that it's has an alternative meaning, it's Dave.
That's me. All right, let's see. Here we go. I'm gonna cut over here. I don't even know where there it is. Okay. I'm going to cut to full screen here. Cut the music. Holy cow, I was watching you yawn.
Don't yawn.
Yeah, I'm not going to. Oh, you jerk. Here it comes.
Taking advantage while the camera was on.
Here it comes. Okay, sorry about that. Here we go.
Now that everyone is falling asleep.
I know. Yeah.
Let's do this.
Is live streaming worth it? Is it worth it? Is it worth the cost? Is it worth the expense? I don't know what I'm saying. Let me try it one more time. Have you been thinking about adding live streaming to your ministry in any way? Are you wondering, is it worth it? Is it worth the expense? Let me tell you, you're going to find out today. All right. And here we go. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Church Media Guys Show. My name is Dave Curley, and I am tongue-tied today, guys. I'm so sorry. If we have not met, I am the founder of ChurchTrainingAcademy.com, which is a place where you and I can learn how to use and exploit media and technology so that we can take the gospel to this fantastic mission field that we literally have in our back pockets, the internet. With me, as always, is my cohort, Mr. Justin Nava. Good morning, Justin.
Good morning, Dave. Good morning, watchers, listeners, live rewatchers. Thank you all for tuning in. I'm excited for today because it's a little bit of a different show. And I feel like I say that every week. And I think that's because we follow a formula, but we're not too formulaic about it. Today, we're actually sharing a story to prove that you and I aren't crazy. Like, this stuff actually works, and I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, it's really cool. We're going to be talking with Jacek Obelesh. Oh,
wasn't it? What isn't it? A soft J? Wasn't it Jacek?
Jacek. Okay. Hang on. I'm going to look at it. Obelevich. Obalevich.
Yes.
Jacek
Yes, that sounds right.
Obalevich. From Poland. He's a pastor in Poland, and he is a really, really neat guy, and he has a really cool story that we want to share. One of the things, Justin, I don't remember, I don't know if I ever told you this or not. I'm trying to remember if this was before you came on board or not, but one of our early adopters here, one of our early insiders, Chris Oshinsky, she called me one day and said, "Hey, you helped us get everything set up at the church with the live streaming and get all this ready and stuff, and I wanted to share something with you. Can I send you a video?" And I was like, "Sure." And so she sent me a video, and I played it, and I sat there just shaking my head. I couldn't believe how much impact the addition of live streaming in their church had made already. And I'm not kidding. It was maybe 4 or 5 weeks that they had been doing it. And she'd been kind of dialing everything in. And she went over and took her phone over to an elderly couple's house. And the lady in that family was homebound for the foreseeable future, and with an oxygen tank and all this kind of stuff. And so they had provided her with an iPad so that she could join Sunday mornings. And Chris just said, "Hey, what do you think?" And she said, "Oh, this is amazing. This is amazing. We're not going to be at church for a long time, but we can be with this." And there was like a tear in her eye, and I'm sitting here with a tear in my eye, going, "Yeah, this is huge." Today, guys, we're going to share Jacek's story, which is kind of from the other side, and I think you guys are going to be amazed.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited for this. And actually, a little fun story here. Jacek, we'll talk about his company later. He's a web designer and builds websites for churches. And actually, when I talked to him, I was like, "Hey, want you to come do this. Here's a little bit about our show." And he's like, "Oh, I love your show because actually I was saved kind of looking at stuff on the internet. I like the stuff you guys are talking about." And we're like, wait, back up. Okay, let's not talk about websites. Let's talk about your story.
Yeah, don't bury the lead.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited for that. But first, shall we talk about a pro tip?
Let's pro tipificate.
Cool. So today,
hang on. Do you want to sing? You want to sing the song? Sing the song for the pro
that's right.
tip.
I have to do the pro tip. How about that one?
Staying alive.
Not staying alive. Don't shut us down.
This was the Bee Gees version of the pro tip. We're gonna have
this was the GBs trying to stay awake. Staying awake. How about that?
Staying awake.
That's it. That's staying alive. I can't finish that one.
Too funny. By the way, guys, I have been saving all of these little things that he does, and I swear we're gonna have like our Christmas show is just gonna be a clip show that
it's
is
just a clip show of me trying to sing our segue songs.
I'm gonna
I don't listen to them. I just when I do the highlight reels, I just kind of skip to parts of the show. I never listen to the segues.
I'm gonna auto tune you. I think it's gonna be interesting. Anybody who's really good at auto tuning and doing stuff like that, has that little musical flair and stuff, reach out to me.
No, unfortunately, that's me, but someone else.
I should let Tommy do this. All right, here we go.
I'm going to come back with some minion choir thing.
Exactly. All right, I'm going to cut to full screen, and you can introduce our pro tip. Go for it.
Hey guys, in today's pro tip, I'm going to share with you an actual tip. We've been talking about tools a lot, but today I'm going to give you an actual tip. And this was kind of inspired by my own recent experiences, and something that I love is cooking shows. And I love to watch the pros cook. I don't always watch the amateur, Chopped. Chopped is fun, and some of the amateur competitions. I want to see how the pros do it. I want to learn from the best. And there's one thing that every professional chef says on almost every episode. When they see someone doing something wrong, they say, "Hey, you got to taste your food. You have to taste it. You can't send food out if you don't know if it's good, if it's too salty, if it's too vinegary, too acidic, too basic. There's so many things that can be wrong with your food that you can't see. You have to taste it." And so my pro tip for you today is very simple, but I'm going to kind of give you a little bit of help here. My pro tip for you is really to ask the question, have you watched your own live stream? Have you tasted your own meal? And I kind of had this experience last weekend. I was traveling on Friday, so I couldn't be here for the live show to record the podcast. And then I was also still traveling on Sunday, so I couldn't be at my church. So I got to watch the live stream for both Church Media Guys and the live stream for my church. Here's what I learned. First off, Church Media Guys is doing a lot better than I thought. when you're sitting behind the screen, you can kind of nitpick and, things seem to take longer. I know Dave has to fix settings, and I'm just sitting here like, what is going on? People hate this. People must be leaving. This is boring. Who wants to sit here and listen to me chat? But actually, when I was on the
You're
road,
giving me a complex. You're giving me a complex. I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
Oh, Dave. But actually, when I was on the road, I had a fantastic time watching the live recording, which, by the way, if you don't watch it live, Fridays, 11 a.m. CST on Facebook and YouTube. You can watch us live, and it's so much fun. I was having a lot more fun seeing the behind-the-scenes stuff, laughing at the goofs, seeing the interesting commentary, because our live show, not everything makes it into the final product. There's some things that we share that just don't really flow into the show, so we cut it out, but it's still valuable information. Also had a lot of fun watching the chat and then seeing how the chat can guide the conversation. Sometimes we come in with 3 tools or tips, and we end up doing 5 because the chat is asking such amazing questions. So the first thing I learned was CMG, the church media guys, was actually a lot better than I thought it was. The second thing I learned was our church live stream was not as good as I thought it was. So it's the opposite. I'm trying to watch the church live stream, and I know we had video issues. We don't really have a camera operator, so that we zoom in for the preacher and then we zoom out for the worship, but that's about it. And that was okay, but what I really noticed we're struggling with is our audio. I kept having to turn the volume knob because the band was so loud, and then the announcements were so soft, and the band was so loud, and the prayer was so soft, and then the sermon came, and then the special music was loud, and then the preacher came up and he was too soft. And so I knew we had some issues with video, but I had never actually, because I'm in church and I just kind of flip my phone on and I watch the comments, but I don't actually listen to it. And so just by tasting my own food, by watching my own live stream, I discovered a whole blind side that I just hadn't been paying attention to. Oh, this is really annoying. I can imagine people watching on their phones and they just have to click, click, click. Okay, here comes the speaker. Click, click, click. Let's go up. And then here comes the band. Click, click, click. That's annoying. And so I would have never noticed that if I hadn't tasted my own meal. And I wouldn't have noticed that church media guys is doing pretty good if I hadn't, stepped away and tasted my own meal. So pro tip for you today, and I know this is a lot to ask for some people, but you should be able to get to the point where you can take a Sunday off, because you're just not going to be here forever. You should have people able to cover you. And so if you take a Sunday off and you're normally out like I am and you don't watch the live stream anyways, take one to purposely go home and watch your live stream like your audience. I watched church media guys when I was out on the road. I watched the church live stream on my phone, and that's where I kind of noticed all these issues that I just never picked up on when I'm actually running the show. So pro tip, taste your food, do your live stream, and don't just check it in your office or check it on your computer. Check it on your phone, check it in your car, check it on home in your couch, because that's how your audience is watching it. Watch it like they would, and you'll see things like they would. And you'll notice either things aren't as bad, but probably what you'll notice is, whoa, there's a few things that I haven't noticed yet. Taste your own food. And as part of this pro tip, down below, I'm going to have a link to a checklist. I'm going to make a checklist, and I'm going to have Dave help me with it too, of all the things that you can and should check. So different devices you should be watching from, different locations, headphones, speakers, on the phone device, computer device, coloring, zooming, all these different things that you can check. So you can have kind of a total list. So, even if you have a blind side and you just don't know to check for this, we'll kind of give you little hints of just, hey, is this okay? Is this level right? Are you having to do this? And it's going to really help you see and kind of audit your live stream and say, okay, well, this is where we need to go next, or these are the improvements we need to make in the summer to be ready for the fall kickoff. So taste your own food, watch your own live stream as your audience would. That's your pro tip for today.
So basically you're saying that y'all's church needs to add more garlic?
Yeah, it's not garlicky enough, way too much pepper. If it was, it's too undercooked. If it was a Disney movie, it'd be Little Mermaid, because the lobster's about to walk away. That's my terrible Gordon Ramsay impression.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, guys.
Yeah.
Speaking of pro tips, this is the kind of stuff that if you guys don't know about it, that we're talking about on a, I would say, relatively regular basis over in the Church Media Hacks group. That's kind of our, what do you want to call that? That's kind of the corner we hang out on, would you say, where you and I and like anybody else, and we've got a couple of hundred people in that group now, that are in ministry positions, that are volunteers, media volunteers, communications volunteers, stuff like that at their churches, that come and hang out with us, and we just kind of share ideas and information. And like earlier today, I was working on a project for a client, and I had the person who did the shooting had done really bad. I mean, when I say really bad, I'm talking about like everything was dark. It was yellow. This girl's, I mean, just every setting that could be wrong for the camera was wrong, and I have to get this fixed. And so I was using a program called Resolve by DaVinci, and they're the ones that make like high-end like movie cinema coloring systems and stuff, where you see that console that's got the balls on it and the guy's moving the balls around and the colors are changing and stuff, like really high-end stuff. But they've got a free version of the software, and so I put a before and after up there and shared that information. If people don't know about DaVinci Resolve, now they do. They know they can get drastic improvements in their video coloring. They can fix really bad problems just because I said, hey, DaVinci Resolve, before, after. That's the kind of stuff that we're sharing over in the Church Media Hacks group. I love hanging out over there, and I love the folks that are over there. So if you guys are looking for a place to come hang out and visit with me and Justin and other people that are just like you, that are creative, that are thrust into a position. We were talking with somebody last night on our mastermind group, and I said, so what are you doing at your church? She said, well, I'm like the communications director at our church, but I'm kind of like the guest bedroom. Everything gets stacked on me, and so this is who we're dealing with. We understand. I have a few hats I'm wearing. Justin's wearing a few hats. You guys are wearing a few hats. This is a place where we can come and sit down and go, hey, my hat's not fitting. How do I get it to fit? And then someone says, oh, I made mine fit, and now your hat is fitting. Churchmediahacks.com.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, now we're going to jump into our feature presentation, folks. Do you have anything you want to say before we jump into it? Is Jacek still in the chat room? He may be needing to leave.
I don't know. I haven't. He commented a couple minutes ago. Dawn said she watches her live stream every week. That's good. Chris said, of course, this is a different animal, but something. See what. My pro tip, though, you're still kind of working, though, because you're still paying attention and auditing. But Chris said take a Sunday off is a great tip, too, because it will cause I think he means it'll prevent burnout. And church communicators are the second highest burnout next to pastor. Just like you said, we got to wear so many hats and do a whole big balancing act. I would not consider that a day off, though, just because you stay at home. If you're auditing the live stream, paying attention, you're burning calories, you're working on things, you're problem solving. I wouldn't consider that. To me, a day off is see you later. Smell you later. I'm going to be on the beach while you're preaching. Like that's a day off.
That's absolutely.
That's a Sunday off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't confuse. Hey, you're at home because you're sick, but can you still run it remotely through Chrome Remote Support? Right. Or I need you to answer this or what? That's not a day off. That's just you're working at home.
Yeah, that's right.
So day off has got to be on the golf course, phone off, or on the beach or whatever.
But if you are training volunteers and if you do have people that can fill in for you and stuff, then schedule one of them to fill in and then just sit in the back of the booth or go sit down, in the church with your wife or something and stick your headphones on and look at it there in context. You're not necessarily taking time off. You're still kind of monitoring stuff, but all the pressure is not on you. It's on unless it's a brand new volunteer and you're like, okay, you better not mess this up. Don't mess this up, Yep. But that's a good tip. Thank you for that, Chris. Okay, now I'm going to run our thing with Jacek. This is about 11 minutes, folks, and it's just a portion of our interview with him. We actually talked for a little while longer on a few different subjects. This is the portion about his conversion experience and how the internet played a huge part in that. Hey guys, today we have an awesome guest. We are talking to Jacek Obelewicz, who is a Polish tech guru, pastor, Christian, just interesting guy that we came across online, developed a friendship with him, started talking, and when we heard his story, the first thing that jumped out to both Justin and I was that we needed to share it with you. Jacek, thank you so much, man, for taking the time out of, I guess it's like dinner time, or you're almost at bedtime over there in Poland. Thank you for taking your evening and giving us some of it, man. Welcome to the Church Media Guys show.
Yeah, thanks so much for the invitation. I'm so excited to be here with you, and yeah, share a little bit of the story that is so familiar to me, but I know it can be inspiring for some other people.
Yeah, I think it can. One of the things that that Justin and I are constantly, I want to hammering, because it's one of our core beliefs. Our core beliefs is that that any and all churches, the body of Christ at large, should be using and exploiting media and technology to spread the gospel. We have, God, the Great Commission. God calls us to go out and make disciples. So that really has no limit. In fact, it's only limited by whatever communication means we have. It's not just going over to Poland and meeting you at a restaurant and sharing Christ with you. If I have that opportunity, I should do that. But it is exploiting every single piece of technology. If you and I can develop a relationship through text and become pen pals, then we do that and we exploit that, right? So one of the things that we tell folks, and we have people say, is it worth live streaming? Is it worth podcasting and publishing on the web? It can be expensive, okay? It can also be done in a less expensive way, but there's always cost. There's time involvement and all that sort of stuff. And people say, is it really worth it? And we always say that it is. I want you to tell us your story, because when I heard it, it set my hair on fire. I couldn't believe it. How did you become a Christian?
My background is Catholic, so I was brought up in a Catholic family, and I always thought I was a Christian. I never knew I wasn't, actually. And that's what almost everyone thinks here in Poland. People think they're Christians, even though they have no idea who Christ is and they have no personal relationship with him. So when I was in high school, I started struggling with my faith and thinking, does it even make sense to believe? Is Christianity the only way? I never read Bible much. I did know a little bit of it, but I never read much. And then right after high school, I went and lived in Ireland for a year. Then I came back, and when I went to college, I shared a room with a guy who was a charismatic Catholic. Which was super interesting to me, because I had no clue who charismatic Catholics are. I didn't know anything about anything when it comes to what real faith can be. And this guy was super interesting because he never shared gospel with me or anything like that. But I could look at his life and think, well, he's got something I don't have. So I think there might be something in Christianity which I wanted to leave. At that point. So it got me thinking, well, what can I do with my faith then? And I shared some struggles I had with that guy, with Michael. And he said, well, man, you can look at other churches as well. Maybe they'll help you better than our church does. So that's kind of what I did. I had friends. In fact, these are people who were my father's friends from back from high school. Now they are living in California, and every now and then they come to Poland because that's where they are from. So I met them, and I knew they were some kind of Protestant. So I started thinking, and my parents always told me, hey, these are great people. They are great Christians. They help other people. They live their faith out. So I thought, like, well, that makes sense. Let's explore that. So when Michael told me, hey, you can look somewhere else, I went like, okay, I know these people. And when he mentioned having a pen pal, in fact, I was writing emails with their daughter a few times, and that was kind of that made me think, well, I'll explore them a little bit more. So I typed in the name of their church and started looking for what Christianity is, what this church is like, and then I started visiting different church websites. And what really grabbed my attention was when I was on the websites, I started reading articles. The website, it was like 12 years ago or so, something like that. The websites weren't any great back then, but they were. These churches had some kind of online presence, and all I needed was to read about how the Bible can relate to my everyday life. And that's what I read. I didn't have Wi-Fi in my room, so I would go downstairs to our computer lab. I would download everything I possibly could to have stuff to read for a week, and then I would devour everything in one sit, one evening. I was so shocked by the fact that I never knew how much Bible can relate to my life and how practical it is. So that was something I did it for 2 months, 2 or 3 months. And then one day I thought, well, I'll probably check it out, because I read so many stories of people who got saved. I had no clue what getting saved, what it even meant.
Right.
And I read those testimonies, which again, I felt like, what is a testimony?
Right.
So these are like, there was a lot of new vocabulary for me. And I went like, I'll check it out. So one Wednesday I went, I Googled the name of a church that was in my local area, and I thought, I'll go and check it out. So I did. I went on Wednesday for a prayer meeting. Now, my Christian friends, after I got saved, they asked me, so you went to the prayer meeting and you stayed? And I said like, yeah, but man, prayer meetings are boring. And I go like, guys, that was the most intense experience I've ever had with God in my life, because I met people who proved that God was real, and the way they prayed, the way they sang. I knew some of the songs they sang. They weren't anything new to me, but the people who like carried the Spirit, I felt like it was like God standing next to them. And I was thinking, I would like to have this kind of relationship with God. I never knew I could. So it became so real to me. So going from this online, research into let's check it out. And I saw these people and I was immediately in. I didn't get saved that particular service, probably mostly because there was no altar call.
Right.
But there was this moment when the pastor said, okay, there's this young guy who came here to visit and he's searching for answers. So let's pray for him. So at the end of the service, they were praying for me. And I so much wanted to cry. I was like, man, Jacek, this is the first time you see these people. I mean, don't cry. Don't sissy.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
Man,
yeah.
Be a grown up. And I held it so strong. I didn't cry, but at the end I left and I thought like, I have to come back. I have to check it out. So then they mentioned something about the small group meeting they had. So I said, okay, can I come? And then there was like Sunday service. Can I come? And then no one invited me anywhere. I went everywhere I could to find out more about these people and about God. So a few Sundays into my journey with the church, again, no altar call for salvation, but I was standing there and thinking, I think I need to get saved, because I remember in those stories, people had to come to the front and get saved. So I was thinking, God, I want to go all in. And it wasn't easy because Poland is a Catholic nation.
Right.
It's not easy to become a Christian. It's not like you go to church and no one cares. People care. One thing was I was in college, so that made it a little bit easier because I didn't have that much contact with my family, who weren't very happy that I left their faith and went to another church. But at that point, I was in a relationship with my girlfriend, and I knew that our ways were splitting. I knew that we cannot go on like that forever, because I was so into what God has got for my life, and I wanted to explore more. She didn't. So I said, I was devastated. I was torn. I said, God, whatever, I want to go all in. So there was no altar call, but I came to the front, and then there was this guy praying. It wasn't a pastor. And he says, hey, what do you want to pray for? And I said, man, I think I need to get saved. And he looks at me like shocked. Like, okay, man, let's pray this prayer. Now, if you ask me when was the moment when I got saved, I would say that was the moment when I prayed. I think I probably made the decision even earlier.
Yeah.
But that was like, I pinned it back then in that small church in the city where I studied. So for me, it was, that's a short version of my story. There was more to it and how I went through. But I went online, started searching for faith, literally. I went to Google and Googled stuff like, how do you get saved? How do you go to heaven? And sometimes it's so funny. I read this article once about like, if you broke any of the 10 commandments, you go to hell. And I never knew if they shared the gospel down in the bottom, but I was devastated when I read it. So I went through and the article was basically like, you have each and single commandment, and then here are the different ways you can break it. And I was devastated. I thought like, I'll never make it. And I don't know if there was any part of this story like down in the bottom, but I left that website so sad. And then I went to another website and another. And so that was kind of my story. I read, researched in a way that was very convenient to me.
Mhm.
No one asked me questions. I asked questions and looked for answers. So that's what I think many people do. They
Yeah.
search online, because sometimes you don't go to your friend, even if you know he or she is a Christian, because this stuff is deep. It's not like that you will go to everyone and just, hey, let's talk about faith. Because for many people, it's too personal
Right.
to openly talk about it, but they can go online and search and see and try to figure out, are these Christians the real thing or they are not?
You know, that statement right there that that he made early on in his story there, towards the end of his story part, I guess you could say, that some of this stuff, you know, the personal stuff, the spiritual stuff, you know, is very personal, and like he was saying in Poland, that, you know, family and faith kind of go hand in hand, and if you betray one, you're also betraying the other, or there's a risk of that happening. So people may not be reticent to like just jump in and talk to somebody about their faith, but they'll go online and do the searching. Man, that is a huge statement right there.
It is. It's really important, and I'm going to leave on this note. This is all I want to say, because there's so much more to the interview that the live people aren't gonna hear, but you'll hear it in the publication. It's really important to understand that this is how life is done now. I get, and Dave, you and me may disagree on this, but I get in arguments with parents because they don't want their children to have any privacy online. Like, I'm going to see every post you post. I'm going to see every message you get. I'm going to get all this, and you're going to have no privacy online. And really, with kids today, and this is the future of our world, the online digital space is an actual space where stuff happens.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I went to my friend's house and we played in his room. Well, now that may not happen because for whatever reason, but my daughter is going to go to this digital house and she's going to be in a room with her other friends, and they're going to play games. They're going to talk. They're going to chat. This is an actual physical space. This is not an alternative to going to someone's house. No, this is the event.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe the house is going to be the alternative of, my phone's not working, so I guess I'll come over and talk to you in person.
Right.
This is an actual place. This is not an alternative. This is not some new idea. This is, I have a question. I am going to go here to find it.
Mm-hmm.
There is no more, this is it. So what he's saying, you know, is, you know, we say, well, we want to put stuff out there, but we don't want to put too much out there. We want them to come. We want to hide some so they come. It's not that at all. It's we need to be where people are,
right.
And that's the physical space. That is the internet. That is online. And so that's in Google, that's in YouTube, that's in Facebook, that's in their inbox. There's all these different places that are actual locations that people will go to, and they will search there first. And if you're not there, someone else might be there, misinforming them, giving them another way out. You know, I'm having these feelings that there's something greater. Well, if you're not there to tell them, hey, that's a normal feeling. In fact, you're created to worship. Someone else is going to tell them, you'll grow out of it. It's like Santa Claus. You know, you have to be there to present that message. And that's so powerful. And if you're watching live, Jasek actually goes into his biggest tips, because he is a pastor and he is an online business owner. So he will go into his tips on how you can take those first steps. And if you just watch that, dude, so important, or ma'am, so important to have an online presence, because if you don't exist online, you pretty much don't exist at all. That is an actual place that people go to. And so it's like going to a friend's house. So are you going to be there, or are you just going to put your hands up and say, nah? That's all I got to say.
That was good.
All right, I got to take off.
All right, dude. All right, y'all. Justin is heading out. He's got to get back to the office. So give me just a second here to end the meeting and move stuff about, etc. And then we'll pick up where we left off. Okay. Cool. Here we go. I think that's a key point, Justin, is that this is being online. This is the space. Just ask yourself, those of y'all that are listening and watching, ask yourself, when you're curious about something, where do you go for the information? Do you, case in point, we have a new pizza place in our neighborhood. I'm not a pizza person, by the way, but this pizza I like. So we were looking for what to do last night. Do y'all want pizza? Yes. Okay, what about this new place? Well, I don't know if they're open or not. Okay. So did we just get in the car and drive down there and take a look at the door? Did we call information? You remember that 411? AT&T information. How can I help you? Yes, we're looking for Bill and Ted's Excellent Pizza in Arlington, Texas. Can you get the number? Hold, please. We don't do that anymore. I don't have Yellow Pages anymore. What do? We go and check online. We check online for the mundane, everyday things that go on in our life. We ask Alexa, how, what the national debt is or whatever it is. And it's no different when it comes to spiritual stuff. I mean, it's really not, because to a lot of people, a spiritual question, a faith question, any question is all the same question. So it's just a question that needs to be asked. Question is your church going to be the one providing the answer? In the interview with Jacek, one of the things that he said was he saw, and I thought this was huge, and this is one of those things that's lock this in your head. The first thing he did was he had a friend that was a evangelical Christian. I think he said it was a charismatic or an evangelical Catholic. Regardless, what he saw was Christ being lived out in this guy's life. So he saw, the scripture says, we'll know them by their fruits. He was seeing the fruit in that guy's life. He was seeing it in his actions. He was seeing it in his life. He was hearing it on his words. And that was enough to spark that interest. That is different than me, and I need to find out what's going on. Now, he didn't sit down and have a deep theological conversation with the guy and say, how do I know God? He went and started researching. And he made a statement that he found one website that was going through the 10 Commandments and was extremely negative. Okay, to him, a searcher, he was like getting scared and nauseous because he was seeing, looking at the commandments, that there was no way that he could measure up to any of this, and I'm done for. And he didn't even finish the article. He just was like, I'm going somewhere else. And then he got the whole story. Okay, so there's a lot to unpack in just that one little thing. We have to be careful. What is more effective? If you are walking down the street with your Bible and saying, or holding a sign saying the end is near, repent sinners, right? If you're picketing an abortion clinic with a whole bunch of stuff that that is doing nothing but causing controversy, are you pointing to Christ in that message? Are you pointing to Christ in the messages on your website, on the presentation of the gospel? We have to be careful how we're doing that, especially if we are trying to reach searchers. Don't shy from the truth. Okay? Make no mistake. Do not shy from the truth. But the approach is something that we need to consider. He had to wade through, and he just decided not to, because he was like, I'm not sure what's going on here. And so he moved on to someone else that could answer the question more fully, and then he learned the entire thing, the entire, that he could not measure up to the law that God had put. And the law was there as a stopgap between, the sin and the relationship with God, and waiting for the Messiah to come and fulfill it. So let's keep that in mind when we are putting our message out there. Guys, this has been a fantastic interview. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I hope that if you have a question about is it worth it to publish? Is it worth it to live stream? Is it worth it to podcast? Is it worth it to blog? Is it worth it to spend the time and money making our church website and to the next level? Is it worth it, the time and expense and the manpower and all that sort of stuff? Think about Jacek. This guy is going through life, not a Christian, and because of the work that some Christians did and some of the publishing and the resources that Christians did that led him through the process, started the process, led him to a body, led him to a pastor. I want to get saved. Oh my gosh, okay. And now the guy is pastoring a church. Where did it start? It started in the life of one person being confirmed through research online. That's huge, guys. By the way, if you guys have any questions about how to do this publishing, how to get things online, how to podcast, how to live stream, how to get started with any of this, that is what Church Training Academy is here for. And specifically, if you guys want to learn how to live stream and how to add live streaming to your ministry, and by the way, I don't know if you guys know this or not. Do you know that there's like 4 modes of live streaming? And like the first 2, like you could start like today, right? Go to easylivestreaming.com. Learn how you can, by getting our guide, learn how you guys can add live streaming to your ministry starting today and start taking it to the next level and start reaching people and engaging with people that you may not be able to readily do one-on-one by using social media and using live streaming. EasyLivestreaming.com. It's a free guide. Just drop your name and your email address. We'll send it out to you. I'm going to be following that up, by the way, with a little workshop for you guys as well. That's called Live Streaming for Churches, the Easy Way. That kind of expounds on several of the things that we're talking about in the guide. So go to easylivestreaming.com, grab your free guide, and learn how you guys can start making live streaming a part of your ministry today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for joining us here today. On behalf of Justin and myself, we are thrilled that you guys are a part of our lives and a part of our show. And we hope that you guys will take all the things that we're learning today, all the things that we've learned in previous episodes, and the things that you're learning through Church Training Academy, and use it to go out and change lives. That's the show. All right, so that part's done. Okay, guys, so I'm going to check the chat room and see if you guys have any questions or anything. Where'd it go? There we are. Okay. Amby Gordon joined. Holy mackerel. Hi, Amby. I haven't seen you since a homecoming probably 10 or 12 years ago. Holy moly. Amby and I went to college. That is awesome. All right, let's see what's going on in here. I'm going to back up a little bit. We've got a little fight between Justin and my aunt and Tommy over volunteers. Let's see here. Jacek has a great testimony, Tommy says. Yeah, he does. He really does. Meeting Jacek and seeing hearing the journey that he went on, I mean, from clueless guy who saw something different in a friend and now leading a church, I mean, that's huge. And to know that, I mean, he did it he followed a different path than a lot of people do. And man, that makes it so important, I think, on us to make sure that we are providing as many outlets for getting the message out, and that we're, staffing and using those outlets and maximizing all this technology to reach as many people possible. Because I'll tell you what, more and more and more, Jacek's story is going to become the norm. Just watch. Just over time, just watch. Christopher Hall, it is the biggest argument that I have been hearing. They always say we don't want to put the event online because we want people to come to the event. That is a huge argument to be made, and there's validity to it. But I think that under certain circumstances, right, that it makes sense. If I'm trying to gather 500 or 600 people to come to a conference to do something, to hear a bunch of speakers. I'm flying speakers in and I'm doing stuff like that. And I've rented the hotel and, blah, 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 blah. And I'm doing something like that. If I'm putting on that church conference, it makes sense. You do want people to be there because you're putting a lot of expense getting speakers and people to come in and be a part of this event. And anytime you have any kind of an event like that, the content that's going to be generated in that event, the sessions, the workshops, all that sort of stuff is of great value. As much great value comes in the networking and the I'm going to use the F word, fellowship with other believers, other people that are doing what you're doing, walking down the same path that you're walking through, jumping over hurdles that you have yet to jump over, things like that. When you start making those one-on-one connection stuff, that's where a gigantic part of the value goes. It's the same thing with church. When we come together as a body of believers and put our arms around each other and kind of huddle up after a rough week and encourage each other and then equip each other to go back out and fight for another week, there's a huge benefit to that. But in that circumstance, I think there's also just as huge a benefit of making sure that that message lives on and that people can partake of that message at any time. 2 o'clock in the morning. Somebody wakes up at 2 o'clock in the morning having an existential crisis. They're not going to the church and sitting on the steps and waiting for you to show up. They're not doing that. They may pick up a book and start reading. They may call a friend and wake them up in the middle of the night, or they may just get online and ask the question that is preying on their mind. You want to be the one to answer that question, or do you want to be the one that causes confusion because you're the one they went to and there's no answer, so they're going to go find it somewhere else? There's a fine line. There's a fine line to it, and I don't think you have to sacrifice one for the other. I think they can all work in tandem. Let's see here. As an introvert, I'd rather watch something online before going to something in person. That makes complete sense, Christopher. Tommy says that he heard the same thing until one of the deacons was on a trip and just watched the live stream and realized that he would have missed the service if he did not do that. I have had homebound members tell me that they love the fact that they can still attend the service. And that's a huge thing right there. Like that story that Chris Oshinsky shared with me, that video that she shared with me, that was huge. That really spoke to me. That it spoke to me just to know that I had a little part in kind of helping those people be able to be ministered to. That's a huge thing. And don't discount that. And I know there's expense. I know there's time. I know that fully. I'm doing it at my church. But also, when you're with Church Training Academy, you kind of learn how to maximize what you have to minimize expense if you need to, and then build upon that. So anyway, guys, I've got to go. I need to get working on a couple of different projects. I hope you guys have had a good time. I hope that we've spoke to you, and I hope you've learned something. And like I said, in the recording, take what you've learned and go out there and change the world.